Hello, everyone, and welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Rogue Valley in Medford, Oregon. I'm Kimberly Hawkins, Senior Minister here. We're delighted that you decided to join us for our Sunday celebration. Happy Father's Day as well. We are an inclusive, progressive spiritual community, and we teach spiritual tools to transform personal lives with a dedication to help making a world that works for everyone. With us this morning is our practitioner and ministerial school student, Laura Stewart, who will be doing our invocation and reading momentarily. Our musicians this morning are Anton Miserak and Laura Berryhill, who we go to now for our opening song.
And we're going to open with a song by someone known to the CSL Rogue Valley community, Melissa Felipe. There is only one of us.
There is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There's only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There is only one. There is only one.
There is only one power, one presence, one life, one infinite, everlasting energy that moves in, through, and as everything. For it is creation. It is the Creator. It is all that is, and it is good. And I know that that one power and presence is here with us right now, experiencing life through everyone in these rooms and everyone beyond. I know that this moment is truly blessed. I know that everything is perfect, whole, and complete, for we are one. I'd like to do a reading this morning from Science of Mind, page 323. There is one infinite mind from which all things come. This mind is through, in, and around man. It is the only mind there is, and every time man thinks, he uses it. There is one infinite spirit, and every time man says, I am, he proclaims it. There is one infinite substance, and every time man moves, he moves in it. There is one infinite law, and every time man thinks, he sets this law in motion. There is one infinite God. And every time man speaks to this God, he receives a direct answer. One, one, one. Namaste.
We're going to do for you a brand new song that we just wrote. It was inspired by the newly commemorated Juneteenth celebration, the federal holiday. It was also inspired by Bob Marley, by Izzy, the Hawaiian singer, and I think that's a short list. So. Hey, freedom, what's your number? How will I know you when you come knocking at my door? How I long to hear the sound of your voice. Will it ring in my heart when I'm lying on the floor? One heart, one love. I'm not free until you're free. One heart, one mind. I'm not free until you're free. So many names for freedom, I've heard them all, and I understand the call. So many false names for freedom. Hope without respect is a yoke upon my neck. One heart, one love. I'm not free until you're free. One heart, one mind. I'm not free until you're free. I can lay down my power, I can lay down my sword. Sweet, blessed freedom. In the fiercest hour, victory is yours. Sweet freedom. One heart, one love. I'm not free until you're free. One heart, one mind. I'm not free until you're free.
Thank you so much, Anton and Laura. I've entitled my message this morning, Celebrating F.L.O, and I've used F.L.O as an acronym, F.L.O. And I kind of had fun creating a little mystery around that. A couple people who saw our newsletter asked me, oh, what's that stand for? I'm looking forward to finding out. So before I speak about the acronym, I just want to say a few words about this word flow. It's actually one of my favorite words because I think flow describes the goodness of the Creator that moves through all of creation, including us, and is available all the time. Spirit is always creating, always giving. The abundance is infinite. We, however, have the ability to stop that flow, don't we? We get scared, we want to hang on, we don't know when to let go. But when we really tune in to our divine urgings. And our theme for this month has been the soul's call. When we pay attention to our soul's call and we know when to hang on, when to let go, we remain in that flow. I think I shared a week or so ago that I've been working in my personal life with an affirmation that goes like this: when I let go and let God, all aspects of my life flow with grace and with ease. So the trick is to let go and let God, and to trust and to have faith. So the acronym F.L.O, we're celebrating 3 holidays this weekend. Today is Father's Day. Yesterday was Juneteenth. And tonight at 8:31 p.m., we experience the summer solstice and the advent of summer here in the Northern Hemisphere. So I want to speak about a God quality that I associate with each one of those holidays. And maybe you can start to guess. So what God quality would be the F that is associated with Juneteenth? What God quality would we associate with Father's Day, the L? And finally, I'm getting a little feedback here, which is a little distracting, but finally the O, which might be harder to guess, is a God quality that I'm associating with the summer solstice. So, first of all, the F. Yesterday was Juneteenth, as I mentioned, and I loved learning a little bit more about the history. And by the way, it's now a federal holiday, which is so awesome. It's just, I'm really grateful for that fact. Back in 1863, actually it was the 1st of January, President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, which said, and I quote, "All enslaved people shall be then, thenceforth, and forever free." What he meant by then was the first time he signed the proclamation was in the fall of the previous year, 1862. And he made January 1st the date upon which slaves would be free. Now, of course, in 1863, we were still in the middle of the Civil War, so it was a proclamation declaring that, even though it wasn't a fact yet. But that proclamation, from what I understand, energized the North, energized the Union Army. It was the battle cry. Not only were they fighting this war to preserve the Union, but they were fighting this war now to preserve freedom for everybody in the country, which was not the fact at the time. And the Emancipation Proclamation also allowed black soldiers and sailors to serve in the armed forces. So you had black men becoming emancipators themselves, which is quite exciting. Now, even though that was signed January 1st, 1863, word did not get to Galveston, Texas for another 2.5 years. So as most of you, I think, know, on June 19th, 1865, a general arrived in Galveston with the news that the slaves were free. At that point, it was several months after the end of the Civil War, but people there did not know, the slaves didn't know that they were free. So what a wonderful celebration. And I would say equally as important as the 4th of July, because as civil rights activist Fannie Lou Hamer tells us, nobody's free until we're all free. The master teacher Jesus said, "Ye shall know the truth, and it shall set you free." And so I think one of the things he meant was the understanding of truth, of spiritual principle, which we teach, is what makes us free. And being able to embody that truth as we realize our oneness with creative mind, we're released from the bondage of false thinking. Our book of the month this month is a wonderful book called Soul Awakening Practice by James O'Day. And he speaks to what he says when any one of us awakens, it affects and evolves the global consciousness. And so I want to read just one paragraph from his book, which will lead us into the next part of that acronym, the L. He said, "Awakening begins when the heart opens to love. We evolve spiritually through the opening of the heart. The inner space of the heart is as wide as the universe itself. We tend to crowd the heart with self-concern, longing, fantasy, worry, and fear. The great journey begins when the heart remains open despite all these things, and when love is experienced as a universal force of connection with all life. I'm going to read that line again because I love it. The heart remains open when love is experienced as a universal force of connection with all of life. The heart is key to experiencing wholeness in ourselves and oneness with all creation. So as we open our hearts, as we embody love, we know ourselves as whole, and we know ourselves to be one with all of creation. Wow. So love is a God quality. Perhaps if I had to choose one God quality, it would be unconditional love. And of course, today, as we celebrate Father's Day, we're celebrating a particular kind of love. I might say the divine masculine love. So it isn't necessarily love that men only can render and embody, but it's the kind of love that is supportive, that is a guiding presence, that is supplying and mentoring, really like a father would do. And sometimes that is done by our biological fathers, that task. Sometimes it's done by other masculine presences in our lives. And I would even say that sometimes women, let's say we have two moms in a household, and one is the breadwinner. Traditionally, that's considered a male role, not anymore, but I guess what I'm saying is that role of provider, mentor, supporter, supplier can be done by a man, a male, or a female. But that kind of love that is selfless and has the best wishes of the growth and development of a younger person is fatherly love. Now, Father's Day began over 100 years ago. A young woman named Sonora Smart Dodd of Spokane, Washington, sat in a Sunday church service that day on Mother's Day and heard the sermon and had the thought we ought to be honoring fathers in the same way. Her dad, William Jackson Smart, was a Civil War veteran and a single dad raising 6 children. So by the next year, 1910, on the 19th of June, so it was exactly how many years ago, 100 plus, we began the holiday known as Father's Day. So think about it. The wisdom, the strength, the support that a father figure offers us. I'm going to invite us into a very brief meditative experience. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that. And see if you can't bring to mind those figures in your life that offered you unconditionally their time, their treasure, their talent for your greater good. I know in my life I had an uncle, my mother's sister's husband, Tom Quigg, who was that for me, always steady, strong, big guy, but loving and gentle and nurturing, peaceful. So just bring to mind, and maybe people in your neighborhood, may have been a mentor, could have been a relative or a friend, a coach, a teacher, maybe even somebody that you didn't know personally but gave you inspiration. And as those people come to mind, just picture each person. Each person who offered fatherly love, fatherly support. And let's just say a silent prayer of gratitude for them, whether they're here still on this planet or not. Whether we actually knew them or whether they were a figure that we knew about that was inspiring. Blessing all those dear father figures in our lives. And before we leave this idea of Father's Day and fatherly love, I want to honor all of you out there who have served in this role of mentor, teacher, supporter, provider, the rocks in our lives who tended to us with tender care but with strength. So whether you're a father, a stepfather, an adoptive father, a mentor, a teacher, a coach, a work colleague who took someone under your wing, we bless and honor your role in supporting younger folks as they made their way in their lives. Happy Father's Day. Happy Fatherly Love Day. Our founder of Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes, said, "Love is the self-givingness of spirit." And I think love as the self-givingness of spirit becomes just that through each one of us. We have the opportunity to become that, to embody that. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Love is a synonym for God, a cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible." On the minister's listserv this week, I had fun looking at messages as we open up our centers, more and more centers for spiritual living now meeting in person. We will be, by the way, as of July 11th. People are talking about what message they want to put on the marquee outside their buildings. Cute little messages. You've all seen them. Sometimes they're humorous. And so a lot of people made suggestions. And I was particularly struck by a suggestion that came from our beloved Reverend Rafe Ellis. He wrote, "We are each other's missing puzzle pieces." We are each other's missing puzzle pieces. What a beautiful thought. And it brings me to the third God quality, F for freedom, L for love, O for oneness. We teach this in Science of Mind. We all come from one source. We are all individual incarnations of that one life. We are one and can't be separated from God or from each other, even though we think sometimes we can be. Holmes again said, "Evolution is the awakening of the soul to the recognition of its unity with the whole." So what does this have to do with summer solstice, you might ask? Might be a bit of a stretch. But summer solstice is all about light, right? It's all about the return of light to the northern hemisphere. Ernest Holmes also said this about light. He said, "We all receive some light, and that light is the same light. There's one nature diffused through all of nature, God incarnated in all people." I know when I did a brief study of the Kabbalah, there was a passage in there about this one light, and it's as if the metaphor is that this one light moving through vessels of different colored glass appear differently. And the same is true of the diversity of humanity on the planet. There's one life, one light, but it looks and expresses differently in each one of us. We're unique. We're different skin tone, different cultures, different beliefs. But we're one. We're all coming from that one light. So I would say God is light, and that light exists whether we're experiencing physical light or physical darkness, night or day, whether we're experiencing a time of light that is a time of lightness and joy and expansion in our lives, or whether we're experiencing contraction. It's all spirit. So we need to, I think, recognize both the times of light and darkness. And yes, I'm glad it's summer. And I don't know about you, but I'm feeling freedom and eating fruit and wearing fewer clothes and thinking about going to the beach. And all of that's wonderful. But I think when we talked this month about the soul's call, we also need to honor our individual needs. So perhaps there are times this summer when we're called to expansion and activity and outward movement. But there may be also times when our inward soul is calling for rest, for a bit of hibernation, for relaxation, for rejuvenation. So to honor all of it because it's all one. It's all God. At 8:31 tonight, the sun will be directly over the Tropic of Cancer. First day of summer here, a time to reconnect to the light and the life above, below, and all around us. And I would say also the light within each one of us, all around us, across the globe. Oneness. I guess the summer solstice is also a celebration back from pagan times of a return of light, life, fertility. It teaches us again, though, to honor all seasons of life. So celebrating flow, F.L.O. Freedom, love, oneness. As we look at Juneteenth, which, by the way, it's also been called Freedom Day, as we celebrate fatherly love on Father's Day, and as we're reminded that during the summer solstice, we're reminded that there is light always, and that light exists in all experiences, in all people. We are one. So as always, I like to suggest a few spiritual practices for this week coming up. For me and for all of us, I think it's a good time to vision and consider what each of us can do to help create an anti-racist nation. I love that we're celebrating Juneteenth, and yet when you look at our history, from going through the Jim Crow days to systemic racism being ingrained, unfortunately, in our justice system, in our social system, in many areas of our lives. And when we think about the movement now to curtail voters, the voter suppression laws that are going on, we can speak to our principles, which are freedom, our democracy, our oneness, honoring all people, and the vote and the rights of all people to be free. I think it behooves all of us, because we're one, to take a look at what we might do to help promote an anti-racist nation. Researching Black history is always a good thing. We weren't taught a lot of that. We weren't taught about Juneteenth in school. If you were, I'd like to hear from you. I surely wasn't. And there are many documentaries now. One suggestion was, I guess there's a sequel to Roots, that wonderful Alex Haley documentary. I think it's called Next Generation Roots. It's a chance for all of us to immerse ourselves in parts of our history that we're unfamiliar with and to embrace it all. Secondly, on this Father's Day, I'm inviting me and all of us to think about those male figures in our lives who tended to us, who nurtured us, who supported us, who mentored us. And think about sending them a card or giving them a call, simply to say, I love you, I appreciate you, thank you. And if somebody is already gone to the other side, is across the veil, we can certainly say a prayer and bless them energetically as well. And finally, when we celebrate the advent of summer and light, to remember this summer and all seasons to tune into our soul's call, to honor those nudges that tell us when to be active and out there and starting something new, when to release and let go, when to take time for rejuvenation, for relaxation. I sat on my patio yesterday. I tend to be a busy, busy bee. And when all my stuff was done, I sat on the patio in the warmth, but in the shade, and just relaxed in my anti-gravity chair, looking at the yard, hearing the birds, and I actually started to fall asleep, and it was beautiful. I don't do that enough. I don't know about you. Honoring the flow. I end with one more suggestion from the minister's listserv about a phrase that we might put on a marquee in front of a church, and it went like this: preach at all times, use words if necessary. Think about that. Preach at all times, use words as necessary. In other words, embody the God qualities that truly are the essence of who we were, including freedom, including love, including oneness, and the ability to see the light in everyone, including ourselves. Embody that, live that. That's a real challenge for all of us, me included. And if necessary, use words to demonstrate that, to preach that as well. More importantly, preach by being. Let's go into prayer. I give thanks this weekend for 3 beautiful holidays, 3 beautiful holy days for us to celebrate. Freedom Day, blessing this new national holiday, the first national holiday since 1983, when President Reagan declared Martin Luther King Day a national holiday. celebrating our forward movement, our embracing freedom for all of us, remembering Fannie Lou Hamer's beautiful expression that none of us is free until all of us is free, and blessing all the movement in our country to make that so, to build back better. Blessing our fathers, whether they be our biological adopted or just fathers who took us under their wing because they wanted to extend love and support. Such gratitude for all of them. And finally, blessing this planet and the seasons and the flow of life, all of life around us, knowing that all of it is God, all of it is spirit. And as such, it is at its essence, life is freedom, it is love, it is oneness, and so much more. That power and presence that moves powerfully through each of us, through each one on the planet. May we recognize the light in each one, whether they're acting in accordance to our beliefs and our wishes or not. May we have the courage to speak up, to embody the principles that we're taught, knowing we're one, knowing everyone deserves to be free, and that none of us is free until all of us are free. To blessing each one of us today, blessing spiritual communities across the globe, whether they're worshiping in a mosque, a temple, in a yoga studio perhaps, or out in nature, knowing there's one God, many paths, blessing it all. In gratitude for these principles, in gratitude for each one listening, in gratitude for life, I release this word, knowing it's heard and it is answered. The law has it, and we say together, and so it is. Amen.
I had a dream last night. I dreamt I climbed a big, tall ladder on top of a tower. I explored the tower, the top of the tower. When I went to go down, the ladder was gone. I looked all around. I started to panic. Then I found an old rickety ladder. It had some rungs missing. I didn't know whether to go up or down, what to do. Then there was a voice at the bottom. It was my dad looking up, and he said, "You'll be okay. It's okay. It's all going to be okay. Just trust yourself." Hadn't dreamt about my dad for over 10 years. But that's a message from all of our ancestors. Coming out of COVID, going through life's journey, economic, old age. Some of the rungs are missing, but we're all going to be okay. We're going to sing a song to honor ancestors, mothers, and fathers. Michael Stillwater, Heart of the Mother.
Of the mother, I am one with a heart of love. I am one with the heart of the Father. I am one with God. I am one with the heart of the mother. I am one with the heart of love. I am one with the heart of the Father. I am one with God. with the heart of the mother. I am one with the heart of love. I am one with the heart of the Father. I am one with God. Ave Maria, Kyrie eleison. Ave Maria, Kyrie eleison.
Oh, I love that song. Lauren Anton, thank you so much. It's time now when we turn our attention to a sacred spiritual practice, that of giving, where we get to recognize and be grateful for the good that we receive in the flow of life, and we're willing to share a portion of it to those places where we're spiritually fed. So I'm going to invite you to join with me in our giving affirmation, if you would. From the love of pure spirit within me, I bless this gift. I send it forth to heal and bless and prosper. It is evidence of my faith and my belief. It does great work in the world, and it returns to me multiplied abundantly. There are several ways to make a gift to Center for Spiritual Living Rogue Valley so that we might continue our ministry. On our website, simply click the donate button. You can mail a check to P.O. Box CSLRV at P.O. Box 1458, Medford, Oregon 97501. If you're watching this on Facebook, you can also simply click the donate button on our Facebook page. Thank you so much for continuing to support us as we come out of COVID. I am so grateful that we've managed to stay in the black and healthy financially. We have cut expenses, and we're about to re-engage and expand again. It's very, very exciting. So speaking of that, a few announcements coming up. Next week, you will not want to miss this service. Gino Walker is our guest speaker and musician. She is fabulous. The following Sunday is July 4th, and we will be changing the time of our Sunday broadcast to 1 p.m. because we will be moving to Medford Congregational UCC Church. Now, on the 4th, we're still doing only a broadcast, not an in-person service, so that we can, our team here, our Sunday team, can practice broadcasting from the new center. But the following Sunday, the second Sunday in July, July 11th, we will be gathering in person, 1801 East Jackson Street at the United Church of Christ Sanctuary or Social Hall. We'll see which, depending on how hot it is. But, oh, I can't wait. So I hope you will join us there, and stay tuned in our newsletter for directions about how many people we can have. I think by then, if we stay in a moderate rather than high-risk situation COVID-wise in our county, we will not have to have reservations and limit the number we can see on that Sunday. So looking forward to that. We continue our morning spiritual practice calls until the end of the month. So Monday and Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. You can join us on Zoom. If you are not receiving our weekly e-newsletter, feel free to sign up by either sending an email to cslroguevalley@gmail.com or looking for email sign up on our Facebook page. I think that's it for announcements. Oh, yes, please feel free to submit your prayer requests on our website, cslroguevalley.org. Our ministers and practitioners stand by ready and waiting to know your highest and best good in whatever you want prayer for. So I think it's time now to turn it back over to Anton and Laura for our closing song.
And we're going to close with a piece by Michael Heron from the Incredible String Band, and then a rearrangement by Sing Cower in honor of the solstice. May the long-time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure life within you guide your way on. May the long-time sun shine upon you, all love
love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way home. May the long-time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way home. May the long-time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way home. May the long-time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. May the long-time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. May the long-time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. May the long-time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. Guide your way on. Guide your way on.
So may you all continue to celebrate the flow of God's good in your life, and may the pure light within you guide you on. Blessings, my friends. Till next week.